to come up with a new product and to start a business, there's a real personal sacrifice there. You have to give up things to move forward and to break that mold.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind Their Success podcast. I am Peyton Squires, the host, and today we have on David Sauers. David is the visionary co-founder and CEO of Royal Restrooms. David turned a simple frustration into a trailblazing business, revolutionizing the portable restroom industry and scaling it into a national franchise powerhouse. David, welcome on Behind Their Success.
Peyton, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, David. So give the listeners a little background of okay, you're the CEO of Royal Restrooms. What's your background and how did you lead to starting this business and making it into what it is today?
You got a couple hours?
Well,
there is a lot there. I've always been kind of inquisitive. I always have wanted to see things in a different light or how we can make things better. And I think like most businesses that start out that really are businesses for change, start by accident. It starts by some type of problem that you've had and you've looked for a solution. And that's really where Royal Restrooms came from. Our origin story, I was taking my girls to a porta-potty and Stella was potty training. We go to a porta-john, completely
yikes.
Not what she was expecting from a young child. And we're all kind of in this porta potty. It's dark. I've got CC on my hip. Can't move around. And I look down and all of a sudden she's got her hands on the toilet seat and she's looking down and I kind of panic and I obviously scare her. And then she's like, what is all this doing in there? Like, where am I going? What are you doing to me?
Yeah.
And
what kind of dungeon have you locked me into?
It goes into this full blown right off the minute from, okay, I've got to go take my little girl to the bathroom. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? So I hand Cece off to somebody that's outside and, that's already a little nerve wracking. I'm nervous about everything going on in here. So I'm holding Stella up and I kind of prop the door open a little bit to make sure that I can see Cece. And all of a sudden I feel this warm drizzle on my leg and I am getting now peed on. And so you go from, a little bit of frustration to almost anger. And I walk back out and I'm looking around at this festival and it's a pretty nice festival. They've got the tents, they've got the chandeliers and the tents, and they've got all of this going on. And then I look back at the porta potties and I'm like, man, how does this even balance? How does this work? I can't clean up. I can't do anything. So I've got pee on me. It was just kind of a light bulb went off. Like
terrible experience, right?
There's got to be something better. I mean, how is it that all of these people just accept this? And I think that's just it. People accepted it is, we're not going to think about it. We're not going to talk about it. And it's just one of those necessary evils. Went back, kind of drew something out. We sat on it for a while, like most people do. And my business partner, Robert Glisson, he was kind of the catalyst that was like, wow, this is a really good idea. Let's do this. We can do this here in Savannah. There's a lot of outdoor events, and who doesn't like to go to the bathroom, nicely? I mean, we all, it's one of those last private moments that as human beings that is private still to us in some way. And well, you look at today's time with phones, I think the average person sits on the toilet now 6 or 7 minutes longer than they did 10 years ago. So my business is only getting better because of that, I think. But Royal Restrooms, David Sauers, my background is in banking. I was a banker, but I think I've always been somewhat of an entrepreneur. I think that was always my journey to go down. And now we're coming up on our 22nd year.
Wow.
Of being one of the leading portable restroom trailer companies in the U.S.
Wow. I think what's so cool about that story is this is a way a lot of businesses are really founded and come about, is that, you saw a problem. You're like, man, somebody should do about this, do something about this. Right. And that's where like 99% of the world's going to stop. Right. I'm like, yeah, man, somebody should do something about this. Right.
Yeah.
But you took that and you took some action. Right. And kudos to you. A lot of people wouldn't do that, right? They would have just kind of walked out of there, complained about it, and moved on. And like, that's me. You know how many times I go to a lot of sporting events, and you're out there in the parking lot, and like, I'm a huge Chiefs Kansas City guy. Like, tailgating is everything up there. Those porta potties are awful. And like, if you're there past like 9:30 in the morning, like, you don't want to go into any of them. So it's kudos to you to seeing a problem, but then thinking, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And then you actually did something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I said. I hear it all the time. People have come up with an idea, and then a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, it's like it's on the market. And they're like, I thought of that 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I do this? And I think it all comes down to time. People are absorbed in their own lives. They've got responsibilities. And I think if they had a little bit more time to put into their ideas and their passions, they could do something about it. But, life kind of gets in the way a little bit. Family, your obligations, your responsibilities. And so to come up with a new product and to start a business, there's a real personal sacrifice there.
Oh, huge.
And you have to give up things to move forward and to break that mold.
100%. Yeah. I mean, like, and this is just more generic in general, but I mean, anything you're looking at in your life, whether it's entrepreneurship or anything, it's like the current version of you can't go to the next level, right? Like, you got to leave some things behind. Mm-hmm. And, whether that's, your salary or most likely different habits and behaviors you do, that you need to leave those behind to be able to even get to that next level. And that, that's kind of transition to my next question here, David, for you. You were in banking, right? But before all this, I'm a CPA. I work with a lot of different bankers, and many bankers are not entrepreneurs at all. They like to just kind of play with the money and gatekeep it and make the decisions about it. But like, they're not out there risking it generally on their own. So like, what kind of beliefs or doubts did you have to overcome in that initial period of really transitioning from David the banker to David the entrepreneur?
Well, while I was a banker, I was in a small local community bank. And one of as a commercial lender, I dealt with a lot of small local businesses. They were startup businesses. I worked a lot with SBA. I got to hear on a daily basis people's visions. I got to hear their passions. And so it was almost like a lot of times helping fund this and going through that process with them, I evolved a little bit more because I was able to see what they did. I was able to see their struggles. I was able to see their wins, But at the end of the day, I got to see very thankful people. They were proud of what they had done. Even if it didn't turn out the way they wanted to, they made the effort. They put themselves out there and they tried. Mm-hmm. They may have failed this time, but failure is just, a small setback. It's a stepping stone. It's a learning curve onto your next adventure. Every small business that I've seen that has failed, they've come back with something else, something better, or something different. They've just pivoted a little bit. Being a banker, I don't think I'd always had the mindset of being a banker as in the traditional sense, like you said. I didn't go to business school. I didn't go to, finance or accounting. I had a political science degree and an international relations degree. I wanted to be a politician. I mean, for what reason. I have no idea back then, but that's what I wanted to do. It was just taking control and taking that risk and owning it.
Yeah.
That's what, it wasn't necessarily about the money or I knew it was going to be hard, but those are the challenges that, hey, I can look forward to. It's not the same thing day in, day out. I have a new challenge every day. And that challenge, when it's overcome, only benefits me and those around me.
Yep.
It doesn't benefit somebody else.
Yeah, 100%. And you're taking control of that. And it's important, what David's saying there, guys, is that stepping out and putting yourself out there, whether it's in a business or even just even on social media, spreading good stuff. But it's not about the outcome at all. Really, it's really about what it does to you, right? You personally and how it develops you, right? And I'm sure you're a way different person through experience now of development, of fighting all these battles for years and years, and how much because I know enough about business. I worked with a lot of entrepreneurs. We didn't just you didn't walk out of that porta potty with an idea and, a month later you were making money, right? To develop a product and bring that to market, guys, listeners, you've never done that. It's a big deal. And it takes often years to even get to that point. You'll have 100 different stop points along the way and all the reasons at every single one of those stop points to quit, right? And that's what most people do in entrepreneurship and podcasting is a great example. It's the people that win, they just outweigh everybody, or they're just with. It's every day they just wake up and they're like, hey, we're going to take another step here. And then tomorrow we'll take another step. You didn't start this business and it just went straight to the moon right away. Can you describe, maybe a time of early on of failure or rejection or, I'm sure people were like, oh yeah, I'm ready to get in the restroom business. A time of rejection and what you did to kind of push through that.
Right. So Peyton, we were disruptors in the industry. When you set out to change the traditional mold, it takes 3 or 4 times longer to build that trust and build that mindset change. We had tons. I can remember back then, I can't believe you're going into the porta potty business. I can't believe you're doing this. It's this all of a sudden, I'm some nasty person or something, because
I'm associated to porta potties.
Yeah. Really, no, this is necessary, it is, we're elevating it.
Yeah. We're trying to make it better.
So there were huge challenges from going from a porta potty, that experience, but then also because the price point, our price was, 5, sometimes 10 times more. So we had to figure out first and foremost, who is going to be our target audience at the very beginning, who's going to be willing to step up to pay this. So we went after weddings. That is one expense where it's okay, we can
cost don't matter.
probably make this happen. And then because Robert and I were part of the community and we have been, focus driven within the community, we started working on boards that were doing community events, your March Dimes, your buddy walks, your Veteran Day parades and type stuff like that, where we wanted to provide an elevated experience through nonprofit, because what we thought is, if we can get people to sit down on our toilet, we've changed their lives and we have changed the mindset, and we've got a client hooked for life. It took several years. People, said, we're never going to pay that price. We're never going to do this. We're never going to do this.
Yeah,
it's fine. A couple of years later, this is the greatest thing I've ever, I can't believe I didn't think of this. The same person that was the doubter that pushed you, and that's another thing is when you start a business, most everybody around you, they'll say, oh, good luck, whatever. Mm-hmm. But those around you will they are your negative naysayers. They'll tell you that it doesn't work, that it's not going to work. They'll give you every reason in the book to set you up, and fear is definitely contagious. Your mind starts swimming with all these things, and it's hard to remain positive. And that's, you have to be steadfast in your belief that what you are doing is right. It is a new and better option for not just you, but for everybody that you're trying to market to.
Yeah. Yeah. I love you talked about, kind of the naysayers and some of the negativity you face there. And some of that is just like haters, right? And some of that is, even, it could be even people with great intentions, right? Like they, it could be your mom that's like, man, I see how treacherous this is, and maybe you shouldn't do that. And your mom has the best intentions, right? Like she's trying to protect you. But your mom's never built a porta-potty business, and she doesn't necessarily know what she's talking about. Man, I had this thought a few weeks ago, and I posted on social media, but like pessimists are right like 95% of the time, right? Like 95% of the time, they are absolutely right in their evaluation. But the problem is with pessimism is like you're 100% wrong in all the times that actually matter. And David's story isn't a perfect example of that, from the very beginning of David walking out of that bathroom with the idea to getting to where he is today, the percentage chance of that is probably less than 1%, right? But if you always sit there on the sidelines, always shoot everything down, well, you're just never going to go anywhere anyway, right? So it's like the pessimism just drives me nuts, where it's just like, well, yeah, that's really easy to say and do. Well, from the safety of the sidelines and the safety of where you're at right now, you'll just never have anything, additional if you're not willing to actually step out and do anything and be, like Teddy Roosevelt calls it, the man in the arena, right? All the credit belongs to the person actually out there in the middle of it, swinging every day, just trying to move the stuff forward. And the guy complaining and stuff on the sidelines and hating on you and whatever,
well, you have a lot of entrepreneurs on your show. They're all grateful. They are all excited about what they do. They are all, they have their struggles, but there's an enthusiasm there. How can you say that about truly the American worker that works in a business? They're not, most people that day in, day out, go to a job, go to work, they're not real happy with it. It's just what they have to do. And, so being an entrepreneur, it definitely has more of that stress, but you also get, there's more that comes back to you. As long as you keep growing, you keep learning, you keep looking for new things it remains exciting, and it keeps the challenges in front of you, and it makes you want to remain sharp and inventive. And it's just a more fulfilling life to me. It would be hard to go back the other direction.
I've said that so many times, where it's just like, I could never be an employee again. I mean, if I had to feed my family or something, I would just grin and bear it and do it. But like, no one should hire me as an employee. Just generally speaking, because I would not last. I promise. Like, I would be a good employee. Like, you would think, oh man, Peyton executes and all this stuff, and I would do well. But then I'd be like, hey guys, I can't handle you telling me what to do, because I'm over here like, no, we should do this, that, this, and disagreeing the whole time along of what they're telling me to do. So, and you're right. Like the fulfilling aspect is way stronger in the entrepreneurship world, right? Like it's. You are doing something, you are being creative, you are building something. And yes, the stresses and whatever, like there's a lot of days, I don't say a lot of days, there's definitely days where I'm like, man, wouldn't it be nice to just shut off my computer at 4 p.m. every day and I'm just not responsible for anything until 8 a.m. tomorrow, right? That's not my life, right? Like it's a 24/7 thing.
I can totally agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Very, very much. I would love to just be able to shut it off every once in a while. But it's a full-time 24/7 job.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, we talk a lot about here of like, okay, protecting, I don't really like the term work-life balance, but like, how do you maintain that, David? Like, how do you separate or, attempt to, okay, I have my business life, but, obviously I got a whole lot of other areas. You have, we were talking off air, 3 or 4 children, you have, I'm sure, a million responsibilities over there. How do you manage all that? Or what kind of, processes you put in place or things you do to do that?
When I first started the business, I sacrificed my family time a whole lot more than I do now. I thought that building this business was going to be better for them in the future because it would mean more stable. I wouldn't necessarily say that's correct. I sacrificed a little too much time with my more adult children because I have 5 children. 4 of them are in their 20s, and then I have an 8-year-old. My work-life balance now is a lot more controlled. I understand that I need that reset, and I need that family time. I have to have that family time because that's where you get creative. That when you slow down and you recap and you rethink, you're able to, come back energized. One of the things that I do with my son every morning, and it's pretty funny. I guess we don't do it every morning, but we open the back door and we both yell, "Good morning, good morning." And it's almost like getting you pumped. It's kind of like, the Eye of the Tiger, fight song. It's like, all right, we're going to get jazzed for this morning.
Yeah.
I was so work focused. It was like, just walk out the door 10 years ago, kiss them on the head, have a good day, bye. May make it home for dinner, may not, may make the occasional, swim practice or whatever. Now I try to make sure that I make that time because I lost it with my older kids. So now, to answer your question more, I go camping. I go out in the woods where I'm not able to necessarily have complete service, where I don't feel like I need to look at my phone. I have to disconnect myself from that business world to make sure that I have some quality time with my wife and my children.
Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate you being, so vulnerable there and sharing some of the mistakes, you believe you made, years ago. And I think that's a very common story of entrepreneurs, and at least the entrepreneurs I know really well, my close friends, is like, we all went down that same road, right? Like, especially in the beginning, we go down that road where it's like, no, I mean, the family needs me building the business so I can, provide and build this thing, and they'll have this amazing life and whatever. And then you quickly get reminded your kids don't care about any of that. They want their dad, right?
Exactly.
And me and my wife have personally been making moves, and I'm lucky enough to be around great entrepreneurs like you that remind me of this, at maybe an earlier age than most. And we've made a lot of moves to absolutely do those things. We've made a lot of moves where I work so much more remotely now, and to be able to disconnect, and I can be here working on my computer all day long, and I can just shut it off and walk away. And I got the beautiful Lake of the Ozarks 19-mile marker right here over my computer. And I got to take my kids to school this morning, but all this summer long, it's me and my kids. And it's like, I'll do a few hours of work. We'll go to the pool for a couple hours. I'll come back and do some more work. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything. It's a new mindset of like, this is way more important. And both are important. Like, I love business, and I'm the kind of guy, and most entrepreneurs are, that will just work all day long because they enjoy it or they enjoy the fight or whatever. But it can't come at the cost of everything else in your life, because you're going to get 20 years down the road and you could have $100 million business, but the rest of your life is going to be falling apart. and you will trade every dollar you have to get that back. And the problem is you can't. So it's just so important to, entrepreneurs earlier in their career to really understand that, because it's not a trade. It's a trade that feels good in the moment, but you're going to regret it later. I guarantee it.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is, one, you're kind of fooling yourself. But I think a little bit of that is you've got something to prove to others when it doesn't matter to the others. It matters to the ones that are home.
Yeah. I think it was a year ago, maybe tax season of 2024. My young daughter drew a picture of a bunch of sad faces and wrote tax season on it. And that, you want to talk about stab me in the heart. And so, yeah, it's something that we've really tried to focus on and change ourselves.
Yeah. I can completely relate to that. Our Google My Business, we're in like Google jail, has been suspended all over the country. And we've been working tirelessly to try to correct
that. Can be like impossible. Believe I've been down that road with Google too. I understand.
Yeah. And, I've got another thing to add about the Google My Business, but I'm on the phone trying to solve this. My son walks in and he has built me some Lego thing. And I'm like, I can't now. Go away, get out. I've got to finish this meeting. And he built me a Lego toilet. And it's like, when I finally stopped and looked at it, I was just like, get off the phone. Here he is bringing me a Lego toilet that he's made. And it just kind of snaps back into perspective of what's going, this is what the life is about, seeing this like this. But yeah, it's crazy. And Google My Business, this can probably relate, talking to disrupting the
Google
industry.
Sucks. I mean, it's awesome, but like if they're not doing what they need to do for you, it can be pulling your hair out to get something fixed.
I mean, it has been the biggest mess. And the last week we were on the Google help, whatever they finally called. And, it's this unknown number. So you think it's spam and then you miss it. And anyways, I'm talking to this lady and I just said, I am so frustrated at this point because I'm getting no information, no real advice. I'm like, what is it that is deceptive content that we are providing?
Yeah.
And I don't know if she made a mistake by saying this. And she said, well, you've had multiple user feedbacks that says that you don't offer this product. And I'm like, what? Our primary category is portable toilet service.
We offer toilets.
I'm like, okay, so we are showing up on Google, on the local Google My Business for a portable toilet search. And then people call us. We don't actually have the traditional portable toilets, the little plastic ones. We have restroom trailers. So people have gone on and said that we don't provide the service that Google is.
Okay.
Saying, at least that is
of course not. We've designed a new service.
Yeah. So we are getting penalized for being in their category, which we are in the correct category. We just don't have it in the sense that they are registering it. So I don't know how to get around that now.
Yeah. So I mean, the last couple years, I've gone through rebranding and trying to switch over my Google page to the new branding. Without losing my, 100 5-star reviews, which I lost them all, because just Google couldn't make any of that happen. I couldn't just change the name on anything. And so we had to do a new page. But I mean, man, that was 4 months of just frustration of like, Google's like, nah, you got to verify the business. Go outside and shoot a video of your building and walking into stuff. And I'm like, I've done this 7 times. Every time you say it doesn't work. And like, I just gave up and opened up a new page because it was like a 4-month thing and nothing was ever happening.
I'm like you. We don't want to give up 20 years worth of photos and comments and reviews. And but we can't even get to that stage. They're saying that we have deceptive content. Like, how?
And now you're just getting, you're just getting flagged. And, even at this point, it's like, it's just some algorithm, AI, something where it's like, oh, 2 customers said this, boom, ban. You know what I mean? Like, and nobody's actually there looking at anything or making any kind of decisions or anything. And that's the most frustrating part, because it's all this machine, and then you call in or, even try to talk to a human being, and good luck there.
Exactly. It's crazy. But, that's what I said.
Just the joys of entrepreneurship. Are you looking for a new tax experience? Looking for an advisor that actually brings you high-level ideas and proactively plans so you aren't overpaying your taxes? Or how about one that even just responds and communicates in a timely fashion? If any of that resonates with you, you probably just have a tax preparer and not a tax planner. And it is through the tax planning process where all the value is found. And when tax planning is done right, it has a positive return on investment. I'm Peyton Squires. I'm a CPA and owner of Squires Tax Planning. We work alongside entrepreneurs and high-income earners, helping them pay the least amount of income taxes, both legally and ethically. We have saved our clients hundreds of thousands of dollars through specific strategies, and we guarantee we can find multiple tax strategies that your current tax preparer hasn't told you about. If that interests you, head over to squirestaxplanning.com. There you can take our free assessment to see how likely it is that you are overpaying on your income taxes. From there, you can also book a free tax discovery call with our team to see what it would look like to have us working for you. So, kind of turn it to you, David, a little bit more. Like, are there any daily routines or practices or anything you do that really helps you stay focused, focused on growth or even, self-development?
There's quite a few things. One of the things that I've really tried to focus on in the last couple of years is being more grateful. I've always kind of had these highs and lows, and where I kind of fall into that self-pity mode sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But my wife, Christy, has always been so positive on everything. Any kind of problem there is, she's always like, well, it could have been worse, or nobody's hurt. Let's just be grateful for that. So that's what I focus on primarily in the morning. I try to be grateful. I try to be positive. I try to say the things that I'm grateful for. But then I go into, I want to be around other positive people. So I try to find inspirational things to keep me uplifted. But also, I want to be better myself. I want to be a better speaker. I want to be a better podcaster. I want to be a better leader. I want to be better at understanding. So I read different books. I listen to podcasts that try to enlighten me so that I can pass my knowledge on, and I can pass the things that I've learned to my other franchisees who are entrepreneurs. I feel like it's my job to continue to push and teach, even though that is not, what they think that my role should be. That is where I feel like I can be most beneficial. I can look out from a broad spectrum and see where the business is going and make subtle changes, whereas they can focus on their business in the day-to-day routine.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly looking from a broad perspective. I look in books. I attend different mastermind classes every once in a while. And then I push that information back to my entrepreneurs. And most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, they don't like any change. They want to keep things the way they are. They don't have time for this. It's like, guys, we have to put systems in process. We have to be, we have to get with the times. AI is coming. You have to do social. We have to maintain the authority in our industry, or else we will get swallowed up.
You will get eaten alive. Yep.
And trying to tell them these things or teach them these, you get major pushback. Oh, well, so-and-so says I don't have to do this, or so-and-so said. And it's like, guys, I'm telling you, we have to do this. We have to do it. We've got a new CRM that's rolling out that has been a huge pushback, but it's like, guys, these are the things that you've asked for. These are the things that we need to move forward. And now that we're showing it to you, there's all this fear and pushback, and it's like, but this is what you want,
right? Yeah.
And this is going to take us to the next level. I was like, this will push us into the next 10 years where every other company is going to be playing catch up because they are all, mom and pop buildups. Our industry is a lot of mom and pops.
Yeah, but
and there's nothing wrong with that. They do a great job, but for us as a national brand, we need to stay on top. And the other thing is, it's like, guys, your exit plan is to sell to somebody else. Most of these other portable sanitation companies, this is family owned. This is generational owned. We have to have systems in place because otherwise you are not going to be, you're the value of the company.
Yeah, there's nothing to sell if you don't have systems. It's just a job.
But, a lot of them, they like that ownership and they like that notoriety of it. And it's like, guys, I'm here to, make sure that you work on your business, not work in your business. I want you to build these things so that you can step away and that you can actually have a life, that things get done when you're not there.
Yeah. But stuff I've been building in my businesses the last couple of years. But, a couple things there, right? Like one, the CRM thing. I knew when you said we got a new CRM, and in my head, I'm like, oh, I bet everybody hates it. Everybody complains about it. I knew you were going to say that. And because it's new, right? Like, and people need to realize, okay, we're bringing in this great new tool. Like in the beginning, it's going to make us less efficient, right? Because like there's this learning curve, and like we got to learn all these new things, but you got to, as soon as you get over that learning curve, this is going to take us to the next level. But you got to be willing to, take a little bit step back to be able to. And the other thing about, you just talking about reading and books and podcasts and different things, it's like that is kind of part of the journey, right? Like you built a business, you were in the business, fighting, doing all the operations, and now you kind of set on top of the business. And like your most important role is to be the leader and to lead by example and to disseminate all these good things that you learn so people have somebody to follow, right? That's where I see my role. Not that I'm not still, I do a lot of operational things still, but like I want to be a great leader for my team. The more I grow, the more they can, the more space they have to grow up underneath me. And I've used this analogy a bunch, and I stole one from a friend of mine, but it's really moving from like being a warrior, right? Fighting in the battles to becoming the king, right? Where you're standing on top of it and you're moving the chess pieces around, right? That's kind of the ultimate place to get as the entrepreneurship is, hey, I get paid to make decisions. Like that is what I get paid for, right? Not to quote, do anything, right? I'm here to make decisions to make this business as good as it can be, right?
Absolutely. And that's the other thing I struggle with consistency. I'll be hyper-focused for a few weeks, and then it's like I miss that week, and then it drags out. And that, I would say, one of the most criticism that I get from my offices is more communication from that consistency. They want more communication. And it's hard to relay every single thing that's going on all the time, putting it out there. And I lose track of that because things in my world are fast. I am constantly moving on to the next thing because once I'm done with it, I'm like, okay, what's the next thing we have to do? And I forget that follow up sometimes to communicate.
So David, I got one last question for you. I want you to take me back to, okay, you're standing in that porta potty. Your daughter just peed on you. So from your perspective today, if you can go back to talk to that guy that's got pee all over his pants, if you can give him one piece of advice, you've been through a million battles between, there and here. What would that one piece of advice be? The
advice that you hear or the advice that you learn, put into action. Don't test it your way. It's kind of what I said earlier a little bit. You know, somebody will tell you, hey, the stove is hot. Don't touch it. Almost all of us will touch to see how hot it is. Some of us will touch 2 and 3 times. Listen to
some of us are that dumb, aren't we?
You know, yeah, listen to that advice. I touch the stove. So if I know the right path, I still feel like I've got to figure it out myself, because I feel like for some reason that I am smart enough. And there's a lot smarter people out there, and you need to learn, or you need to listen to the people who have already been down that path. It is a gift that you are given, these little golden nuggets. So put it into practice, but learn it. You know, don't just take it for granted. Learn it, and it will solve a lot of problems that you have. Another thing, like, I should have gone to people that knew franchises and understood franchises rather than trying to grow it organically or my way. No. You know, being a franchise business is not like owning a portable restroom company. It is a separate, complete, and total different business. And I think a lot of franchises fail because they're good at opening a restaurant or they've got this great concept doesn't mean that they're going to be able to run it the same way that they've grown their first business. It's a completely different mindset and a completely different set of rules that you need to follow. So I would say the most important thing for me is to listen to those people that you admire and take their advice. You don't necessarily have to listen or try to find something wrong in what they're saying. They've been there, they've done it, they've already burned their hand. So
no need to do it again. Right. I think maybe yesterday, the day before, I was talking to another entrepreneur friend of mine, and we had this exact conversation to where it's like you can give someone the exact blueprint on how to do something. And as soon as they hear that in their head, they're already adjusting it and modifying it of like, I'm going to do it this way. Like the second you tell them. And I'm sure that's a thing you probably struggle with constantly in the franchising mode, right? Like you guys have built out this beautiful franchise and system, and it's like, guys, follow the system.
Yes.
Quit making it quit tweaking. We know this works, right? Follow the system.
Exactly. It was, just yesterday we were on one of the CRM calls. Oh, well, we found that, everybody likes a personal touch, rather than a text message or an email. They like that. It's like, we understand that, but you have to consistently answer the phone and return the call. The CRM will do that 100% of the time. You may miss some. You can still have that personal touch, but if you're busy, if you're away, this does it. This provides it.
Yeah, that's great stuff, David. David, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you coming on. Anything you want to leave for the listeners before you go?
Yeah, I appreciate what you're doing. I think that, this is a great sounding board, and what you're stepping out in the education behind the business. So I appreciate you allowing me to be on and share some of my insights. Absolutely, and David, please take a look. We're happy to be a part of your next event here at royalrestrooms.com.
Any other way they can follow you or connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn under David Sauers. We have local state sites as well, but our main site is royalrestrooms.com, and then we're on all the social media platforms as well under Royal Restrooms.
Awesome, David. Appreciate you so much, and listeners, we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you found it valuable, please rate, review, and share it. That is the best way to help us build this and reach more people, as we're trying to accomplish our goal of help creating more healthy, wealthy, and wise entrepreneurs. You can follow us on social media by searching for me, Peyton Squires, or going to PeytonSquires.com. On the website and social media, we're always sharing tips of personal growth, and there we can actually interact. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.